Hey guys, YouTuber Winner here. Alright, and here I am with another X-Men review. With review of X-Men First Class. So, yeah, this movie, it is really, really good. Yeah. Though, I do kind of think that this movie is sort of overrated. Yeah, I mean, I've heard some people say, like, this is the greatest X-Men movie up to this point. I mean, and like it's a really outstanding movie and all that stuff. Yeah, I really don't see it like that. I really don't see this as really the greatest X Men movie up to this point. I mean, like I've said before, I like the second one the best so far. I mean, yeah, the second movie of X Men Two is my favorite X Men movie, and yeah, I really don't think this movie is as good. I just really feel like X Men Two is a it's just it's better put together and it's better paced and yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, but not to say that that makes this movie bad. I mean, this is still a really, really, really good movie right here. Yeah, with the previous movie, with the Wolverine Origins movie, well, that one was really focusing on on Wolverine and his backstory and stuff. This movie, this is another prequel to the first three X Men movies. Reason, yeah, this focuses is on like a lot of the other early mutants, and yeah, this one is really more set around Professor Xavier and Magneto. Now, this just kind of shows their origins and how they really like came together and how they really started up the X-Men and with the early mutants. And yeah, this movie it does have recurring characters in previous movies, but yeah, they're obviously younger in this, so yeah, they're played by completely different actors. Yeah, there's James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, and so, yeah, they're all like they're like playing recurring characters, but yeah, this is their first time in the roles, and yeah, this movie, and there's also Nicholas Hoult as Beast, and yeah, so yeah, while it does have recurring characters from previous movies that played by different actors, it also has a lot of new first-time characters here. Here we have Moira MacTaggart, I think that's how it's said. There's Emma Frost. There's Azazel, Havoc, Darwin, and yeah, Salvador Banshee. So yeah, that's a lot of new characters in this as well, along with some of the recurring characters and played by entirely different actors. And yeah, they all do pretty good in this movie. And yeah, the movie does kind of have an interesting story in it. Yeah, like I said before, it's just kind of like showing the origins of how Professor Xavier and Magneto really like started to really connect and how they met each other and all that stuff and what they were really doing before they actually knew each other. And yeah, it just kind of shows like as I said before, just kind of like how they really came in touch with some of the early mutants that really started up the X-Men. Man, and yeah, it is kind of interesting to see. I mean, like I was talking before about the Wolverine origins, how that was kind of an interesting story as an introduction of Wolverine and the origins of his powers. I kind of feel this, yeah, I do feel the same way about this. I feel like this is also another kind of interesting story to show of how everybody here really like started, and it's basically like the initiating of the X Men, and yeah, this basically just starts up X Men and then all the mutants coming together. And yeah, I, so yeah, it is a really, really good movie. I would give this probably 3.5 stars out of 4. Or, yeah, some people may think I'm being kind of, like, I'm not rating it high enough, but like I said, I just find this overrated, and I just really don't find this to be, like, the greatest X-Men movie up to this point, or, like, greatest X-Men movie of all time, or any of that. Yeah, but I still do find it to be a really, really good and enjoyable movie. Alright, so, yeah, let me just get right into it. Yeah, so the movie actually opens up with the exact same scene that opened up the original movie. Yeah, it has Eric being separated from his parents in the concentration camp in Poland, and he bends the metal gate and then gets knocked unconscious by Dr. Klaus Schmidt. And I mean, yeah, has the exact same opening scene as the original movie, so yeah, I think that's kind of cool. And and then it's showing, young Charles Xavier as he's still a child in a mansion in Westchester County. And then he meets a young child Mystique, or Raven as she's known right now. And yeah, she's posing as his mother, and then she reveals her natural form to him. And then Charles invites Raven to live with his family as a foster sister of his. And it's also showing Schmidt trying to order Eric around, and he's trying to get Eric to use his powers to move a small coin on his desk, seeing how it shouldn't be much of a challenge since he was able to bend that entire fence. And sort of gate, I should say. And when Eric isn't able to move the coin, when Schmidt then brings in Eric's mother, and then he threatens to kill Eric's mother if he doesn't move the coin. And yeah, he's still unable to move the coin. Then he ends up shooting and killing Eric's mother. Then after that, Eric just he snapped, and then that unlocked his power, and he was able to just basically destroy and bend down and crush all the metal objects around him. And he also ended up killing 2 guards in the process by just crushing their helmets while they were still wearing them. And then it cuts to 1962, as Eric is now trying to track down Schmidt. And Charles is now graduated from Oxford. And during a party in Las Vegas, there's Moira MacTaggart, a CIA officer, and she's just following an army colonel into the club. And then she finds Schmidt, as now he's known as Sebastian Shaw. And he was meeting with Emma Frost, who has a telepathic power just like Charles Xavier. Also Riptide, who is able to produce cyclones. And Azazel, who has the power of teleportation, similar to Nightcrawler. And the Colonel then just decides to activate deployment of nuclear missiles to Turkey after Shaw threatened him. And then also Azazel teleported him to the joint war room. And then Shaw eventually does reveal that he is actually a mutant with the power to absorb energy, and he later on just kills the Colonel. And then Moira just then decided that she needed to seek some help from other mutants, so she tracked down Charles and Raven, and she brought them to the CIA. The, And then they convince the director of CIA that mutants did indeed exist and Shaw was a threat. And then another one of the CIA sponsors, who was played by Oliver Platt, he then, yeah, another one of the CIA officers then decides to sponsor the mutants, and then he decides to bring them down to the Division X facility. And yeah, Eric does eventually track down Shaw, and he tries to attack him, but of course all the other mutants were there with him, and Emma Frost stops him from attacking Shaw and then throws him into the water. Or because, yeah, they're on a boat, and then she throws him into the water. And then, yeah, Moira and Charles found both Shaw, and then they eventually save Eric from drowning, which leads to Shaw escaping. And Charles decided to just bring Eric back to Division X as well, where they also met the young beast, or Hank McCoy, as he's known right here. And it's shown that he has, like, his feet are basically large hands, like kind of like a monkey. And he also feels that the DNA from Raven may actually be able to provide a cure for their appearance. So, and then eventually Charles decided to use Cerebro that was designed by Hank to try to find some other recruits to help them battle against Shaw. And yeah, Charles and Eric just then recruited several different mutants from around the place. They recruited Angel Salvador, Armando Munoz, aka Darwin, and they also got Alex Summers, who was an army prisoner. Angel Salvador was like a stripper, and Armando was a cabbie, and there was also a runaway, Sean Cassidy, and also they tried to recruit Wolverine, aka Logan, and Hugh Jackman reprised his role. He's like the only returning actor here. And after Eric and Charles introduced themselves to Wolverine, he just told them to go fuck themselves, which was like an awesome cameo right there. Yeah, they just decided to bail. And anyway, yeah, then they brought them all back to Division X, where they all gave themselves nicknames, which, yeah, I already said what they were: Salvador, or Darwin, and Havoc, and Banshee, and also Raven then also gave herself the name Mystique. And then it just showed all of them just showing off their powers, and then they were like goofing off, and then Eric, Charles, and Moira all saw them just messing around, and then they just said to name Charles Professor X and Eric Magneto, and then Eric, Moira, and Charles just then left and just said they expected more from them. And then eventually, Charles, Moira, and Eric are able to track down Emma Frost as she's meeting with a Soviet general. And then they eventually capture her, and she then is questioning Emma Frost about what Shaw's up to, and then they find out that Shaw actually has intents to start another world war. Oh. And then as they discover that, Azazel, Riptide, and Shaw all then just ambush the Division X, and they end up killing everybody except for all the mutants. And Shaw is giving them all invitations to join up with him. And Angel, or Salvador, she ends up accepting, but. And then it looked like Armando was also going to join. But then it was just a trap, and they tried to attack Shaw, but Shaw just ended up absorbing their energy. And then Shaw ended up killing Armando. And yeah, and also I guess I should bring up by this point, Shaw was also now wearing his helmet that would also has the power to actually block any telepathy that Charles may try to use on him. And then, yeah, Charles then just decided to take all the mutants down to his mansion to train them, and it showed him just training all of them with their powers. Yeah, and then later on Hank is trying to tell Raven and that they need the cure to actually basically be normal. Well, and Hank told Raven that she's not gonna be considered beautiful in her natural form, and just if she disguises up as someone or if she's cured, she will look beautiful or be considered. Right? But yeah, Raven still told old Hank that he shouldn't use the cure, but he ends up using the cure anyway. He uses it on himself, and it appeared to work at first, but then it just ended up going wrong, and then it then made him into beast. He then grew blue fur and became bigger and all that stuff. And then Raven then tried to seduce Eric by using the forms of other women, but then Eric just told Raven that she's beautiful in her natural form. Yeah. And then they all, like, Charles, Eric, and the rest of them all then, went to check on Hank, and they just saw that his lab, or whatever you want to say, was completely destroyed. But they all saw, their special suits, and they all decided to suit up to then pursue Shaw and stop the missiles. And then it showed Hank then arriving as Beast, and yeah, this was his big reveal as Beast. And then yeah, Hank then ended up piloting a jet to take all of them to the Soviet blockade where the missiles were at. And then Charles then used his telepathy to have a Soviet worker just destroy the missile ship, and Eric also used his powers to raise up Shaw's submarine and just place it on land. And then both sides were battling with each other, and eventually Eric approached Shaw. And and yeah, they got into a small battle, but then Eric eventually was able to he caused Shaw to lose his helmet, and then it let Charles then be able to use his telepathy to just immobilize Shaw. And then Eric then took the helmet and put it on, and he told Shaw that he does have the same view as he does about mutants, but he then took the same coin that Shaw wanted him to move when he was young, and he just forced it right through Shaw's head and brain and killed him to avenge his mother's death. And then, and both of the army fleets were in fear of the mutants, so they ended up firing missiles at them. But then Eric then used his powers to just turn back the missiles and send them back to both ships. Yeah, Charles tried to stop him, but Eric continued to send the missiles back. And then Moira then tried to stop Eric too by shooting at him, but Eric ended up deflecting all the bullets. But he ended up deflecting one, and it hit Charles right in his spine, and he ended up collapsing. And then Eric just rushed to Charles's aid and just let all the missiles just fall right into the water and not harm anybody. And then he was going to kill Moira by choking her, but Charles stopped him after telling Eric that he was the one that actually caused the bullet to hit him and not Moira. And then, yeah, Eric then let go. And then it just showed that both Eric and Charles had different views about a mutant and human relationship, and then Eric then just decided to leave with Salvador, Azazel, Riptide, and Mystique. And then later on it showed now Charles was now wheelbound, and mutants are now at his mansion, and he then reveals that he has intent to open up a school. And Moira promises to actually never reveal any of his location. And she later on says that she doesn't have any memory of any of the events at a CIA session. And then, yeah, the movie then just ended with Eric and all of the people he was now with freeing Emma Frost from solitary confinement, from her confinement. And he now says that he's known as Magneto, and he's now in a new suit with like the classic look of the helmet, the red and purple with the horns, which was awesome. And yeah, that's how the movie ended. So yeah, like I said, 3.5 stars out of 4. I do enjoy the movie. I don't find it to be the greatest X-Men movie, but yeah, I still do think it is a really, really good movie. Alright, so yeah, that does it for my review of X-Men First Class. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.